If you don't have enough money saved for your retirement, like me and millions of other people, you're not alone. Welcome to the Wise Retirement Podcast. We'll learn how to invest, save, and earn more toward a comfortable retirement. Hi, I'm Angela Kay.
And I'm Reginald Thornton, along for this ride as well. Did you know that 20% of Americans age 50 and above have no retirement savings at all? Even worse, 3 times that amount are concerned that they don't have enough saved for a comfortable retirement.
Reg and I will talk with experts in their field, explore catch-up strategies, share success stories that we hope are inspiring, and learn about family wealth-building techniques that actually work. We'll also break down those complex financial topics into clear, actionable steps that everyone can understand and use.
Welcome to the ride, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining another episode of the Wise Retirement Podcast. I'm Angela Kay.
And I'm Reginald Thornton here on this journey of financial wellness with you. Today, we are joined by Steve Shumpert, who was drowning in $75,000 worth of debt. And at the same time, he lost his job. But instead of despair, what he did was he found a way to change things around. And in just 15 months, he paid every penny.
And in this episode, Steve's sharing the exact strategy that helped him get out of debt and how you can too. He'll explain how to stay motivated while paying down our debt, why we need a why that's bigger than ourselves, like being a good example to our kids or just simply getting a better night's sleep. He'll share his system for telling our money exactly where to go instead of wondering where it went.
And as Ann said, Steve is with us today to show us all these tricks of the trade. We found out that Steve's a graduate of Georgia Southern University and majored in IT. I'm curious to find out how you went from IT to a financial advisor with Edward Jones.
Yeah. I'm an open book, willing to dig in it, whichever angle you want to go.
Good. Sounds good here. So, okay, Steve, I have a 2-part question. First, what was your wake-up call? What was the moment that made you realize your debt was a serious problem? Second part of that is, was there a specific event that changed your mindset to tackle this debt?
Yeah.
Why?
So I didn't think my debt was a problem at all, right? So you have to be like, what was the wake up? I was just like anybody else, right? I wouldn't say I was struggling. I wouldn't say I was necessarily financially irresponsible. What I realized is that I wasn't intentional. I had no kind of plan. So I was just like anybody else. Work, spend money, pay bills, live the life, use your credit card, whatever, right? So my wake up call was I logged on for work one day. My manager at the time was like, Steve, give me a call when you start work. So I didn't think nothing of it. I called him and he's just like, yeah, you've been caught up in the company surplus. I'm like, what is that? Like corporate lingo for you're getting laid off. You don't have a job anymore. So that was the wake up call. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'm like, it took me an hour to process that. I got on, I'm like, all right. So then I called him back. He was like, yeah, we're going to give you some info on the severance package and everything like that. So foolishly, I'm not woke yet, but foolishly, I'm like, well, forget this job. I ain't been wanting to work it anyway. I've been wanting to go do something different, right? I just felt like, everybody feel like you purpose to do something bigger. I didn't know what that was at the time. So that would lead me down the financial advisor path. But anyway, so I'm like kind of doing a inventory of my finances. I'm like, wait, I don't have that much money saved. Okay. Then I'm adding up all my bills. Then I'm totaling up the debts because I was never paying attention to how much debt I had. I would just pay the minimum payments and just charge, pay, right?
Right.
So I'm like, whoa, I'm in $75,000 in debt. I'm like, to me, it felt like maybe I got 20 or 30, but I'm like, okay, I only have probably $1,000 saved or something like that. It'll be times of the year I will have more money than others, right? But at that particular time, so I'm like, wait, I'm living check to check. I didn't realize it.
Right.
I never had a problem doing the things I wanted to do, buying what I wanted to buy, paying my bills within reason, right? So it's like, okay, this one call, I'm like, wait, there's no way I could leave this job, right? I'm like, the money will be gone pretty quickly, and I need a job like tomorrow. So I'm like, something got to shake. So that was my wake up call that I'm about to lose my job, and so they gave us 6 weeks to work on payroll to find another job before you have to officially be gone. So the very last day, well, in between then, I'm just scouring the internet for how do you budget, how do you get out of the debt. I'm looking for any resource, any information, YouTube. So eventually, I came up with some sort of a plan that I was going to put into place, and then the last day on payroll, I got a job offer. So thank God I didn't miss a check and have to scramble, right? So by this point, I'm like, okay, I'm a, I'm a, I'm gonna use this job strictly to pay this debt off. And I started to think about what did I want to do in life? Because I thought this was my moment. Okay, I could just walk away now. They'll give me a little bit of money, and it was a little bit of money, right? And then I'm looking at, I'm like, with all this debt, it limits my options in life. And so that was just kind of my thing right then and there.
So I heard you say a couple things that caught my attention. When they fired you, it was your wake up call, but then you had an epiphany of some sort when you were like, what is the intention here? Like, I've been living this way and not even knowing it. And I heard you say internet. So, a couple things. How long ago was this? What age were you? Because it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It was 2016.
So, that's less than 10 years.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was about 28 or so, something like that. 28,
Okay.
29, maybe something like that.
Okay, okay. And what type of what when you said you were in debt, because a lot of us are in debt. And to your point, we don't know what kind of debt we're in until you sit down and you start taking stock of everything. Like what type of debt was it? Did you have a mortgage? Did you have credit cards? Like were you just out there wilding with the high end car, apartment, credit cards, or did you have a mortgage? Standard type of because there's a standard way of living with debt. And then there is the outlandish way of living. What type of debt was it?
Would say I was you can say standard. I mean, I had a mortgage, right? The mortgage is not included in the $75,000 of other debt, right? But I had debts of every kind.
Right,
Car,
right,
student loans, 6 credit cards, 5 with balances, a
got you.
personal line of credit, and I think I might have had a small personal loan too. So every type of loan you could think of, I pretty
Right,
much had it.
right.
And that I could borrow a little here, borrow a little there, borrow a little here, and until you realize you might have used to had a manageable amount of debt. Now it's like, how am I almost $100,000 in non-debt? Right? That's crazy. It just over time, like not. So one thing about financial habits, nothing stays the same. Whatever you're doing is gonna get better or worse.
That's a good point. That's
Yep.
a good point.
That is a good point. So you finally are tackling this debt. It's in front of you now. So there's no way around it, but to go through it. So, like, what was your plan to get out of debt now that you acknowledged the 75,000 in debt? And can you walk us through maybe your practical steps of how you paid down that much debt? And how long did it take you?
Yeah, yeah. I know it sounds like a miracle, and it kind of is, but
Yeah.
but I would say I would first caution people not to overthink it. Right? It sounds like whatever you're going through, right? You might think it's a lot, but it's like more about getting organized and the intentionality behind it. So for one, I needed to know what I was even dealing with. Right? I put a spreadsheet out and I just ordered all my debts out. Right? What do they do? What are the interest rates? And then I just started listing them from smallest to largest. And so for me, my approach was I'm gonna attack the smallest one with everything I got, right? And then I'm gonna just knock that one off. I'm gonna attack the second one, and then the third. So by the time I get to the biggest debt, which I think my biggest one at the time might have been like 20,000. At that point, that's all I had to focus on, and I had
Right, right,
to develop a rhythm and a belief that I can actually get it done, and I'm
right.
better at budgeting, right? So most people, when I tell them I paid off $75,000 in 15 months, they say, "How did you do it?" They think I'm about to give some kind of magical answer. I'm gonna be like, the biggest thing is the budget. Like you got
Right.
to learn how to give every dollar some kind of assignment, right? You got to prioritize your spending. And you'll be surprised how much extra money you have when it's just not going out the window unaccounted for. I like to tell people like the budget for me was just like the GPS of getting in a car and going somewhere. Like without it, you just won't get to your destination as quick and efficient as possible. So
Interesting. That's
yeah.
a great analogy.
So if I had to simply put it practically, I was paying off one debt at a time, meaning every extra dollar towards that one. I wasn't putting extra dollars on 5 different cards at once. I know some people do it like that, after I've been coaching people for years after that, they're like, "Well, I just pay extra on all of them." I'd be like, "Well, are the balances going anywhere?" Like, "No." So, that was me, smallest to largest, give every dollar some kind of task, which my task was getting this debt, right? And I started looking at it like, I'm trying to buy my freedom.
Right. 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 I know Ange mentioned about the things that could be your why for how you did what you did. But was there a milestone along the way that kind of kept you on track, uh, aside from buying your freedom? Was there something that after you did the first one, you said, "Okay, I'm going to stay on track and do the second one. I'll stay on track and do the third." Like because a lot of times we'll lose focus.
Mhm.
So you're knocking this out, and then the next thing you know, you're back to where you were. So was there a milestone along the way that kind of kept you on track?
I would more so say that getting laid off put such a fear in me that, like, I just never wanted to be in a position where somebody could call me and I feel like I could lose my home and car and everything I've worked hard for in 90 days at most, right? That fear never went away. And then above and beyond that, I just still had the desire, was like, because I didn't really like my career, to be honest, right? Like, it was just, I wanted to go do something different. I'm just like, I'm kind of a slave to it, right? I got all these cards and balances. So I was like, if I give myself a winning shot of going to do something passionate and purpose, I personally get rid of this debt. And it was almost like a spiritual conviction for me, to be honest.
Oh, can you, maybe touch on what do you mean by that?
To me, it was a wake up call from God to say, the way you live in isn't gonna get you to where I want you to be, right? Where I need you to be. And so, not to get too spiritual on the show, it's a money show, but it was like I felt like that was what I should have been obedient doing at that time. For some reason, that's gonna be on the other side of it. I was like, I know I was gonna quit the job. I was like, there's no way I quit this job broke. There's no way I can start a business with no money. Whatever it
Right.
is I'm gonna do eventually. So I'm like, I gotta get out of it. It's like kind of like if you're in a bad relationship or something. You're like, I need to get out of this.
Got to figure it out. Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
figure it out, right? Either you gotta work it out or figure out how to leave. That ain't gonna change just doing the same thing. So it's kind of like that.
So um uh to follow up on Andrew's question, so you were doing this, but how long were you in IT, and at what point did you transition to where you know what I mean? Like, because you had a job in IT, and they called it where you called and they let you go over the phone, which is bizarre to me, but it's just where we are in the world. But how did you go from IT to financial planning? Like, how did that transition happen?
Yeah. It was like kind of in a day, essentially, right? So when I made my last payment, right, I just randomly put up a Facebook status. I was like, "Oh, friends and family, I'm just so happy to announce that I just paid off the last of my $75,000 of debt. I don't have any more credit cards. I don't have a car loan anymore. I don't have any more student loans." I was like, if anybody has any questions about what worked for me or, you know, about that journey, I was like, I'm an open book. That was it. That was it. I
Right.
didn't realize it was gonna flood my inbox with questions. Like, "What did you do? How did what worked? What made you wanna do," or people close to me like, "Can you sit down with me and help me to kind of figure out where I'm going wrong?" So I would just start doing it, right, to close friends, and I would sit down and help them get organized, help them get a plan, and then after a couple people, I'm like, "I kinda like this."
Right.
And I'm like, "Well, I think I'm kinda unofficially financially coaching people." So eventually, I went and got some professional training, and I just started a part-time coaching business. I was like, I wonder if people would pay me for it. Because I felt like I was kind of naturally good at it. And I don't know, people start seeing results. So I'm like, maybe this could be like a little thing for me, right? So it's kind of one of those pain turns into passion and purpose type things. And so then I just announced, I got on social media again. I just announced, I was like, hey, I just launched my coaching business. Like, if anybody, wants to book a session, let me know. People start booking me. I'm like, oh, so now I'm getting paid more, at least by the hour, than I am on my full-time job. And I'm not
Right.
making more money because I'm not working every hour of the day, right? But I'm like, okay. And then so I just kept doing it, and it just turned into like I started to build clientele. Then I started to get some success stories about a year in. Like my very first client paid off. I think it was, I can't remember exact numbers, but it was close to about 50,000 in 11 months. And so I had proof of concept, right?
Hmm.
So I just kept promoting it, and then I was just like, and I'm saving money, and then I got an opportunity to voluntarily get laid off. Crazy, right?
No, I've done that.
Yeah, it was a full circle moment. The first time it was like a wake up call. The second time I'm like, cash me out, I'm gone.
Right, right, right.
So then I quit, and then I took some time to go travel, and when I got back, I was having a hard time. I was like, I'm gonna figure out this coaching business, right? But I was having a hard time scaling it because a lot of times like you might coach somebody one time, it might not need your services again. Kind of hard to build it up to a consistent income, and I was used to living a certain way. Anyway, long story short, I transitioned into the wealth management industry, and I started working for a firm and got all my licenses. Yeah, so now I'm a actual full-time professional financial advisor. Used to be a laid off IT guy. That's kind of my story. I like what I do, and yeah, I feel like I have more connection to the work. I feel like I can see the impact of what I do. Feel like my same story. I feel like I couldn't go do what I was passionate about because I was of the financial roadblocks. I feel like if I can help people supersede those, they can go out to do some amazing things with their lives. And so that's where I find the purpose in it.
Full circle moment. I have so many questions, but I'm going to ask you this first. You have clients, and from the clients that you've helped get out of debt, like you got out of debt from the avalanche, the debt avalanche strategy,
Yeah,
which
some
is
people call it the snowball
snowball.
avalanche, right?
Snowball. So you started paying the smallest to the largest and got out of your debt in 15 months. So what other strategies have you seen your clients use who were like drowning in debt, but you helped them get out of debt? And what are some of the other strategies maybe that our listeners could hear from you?
To be honest, I rarely advise any other strategy, assuming they have a bunch of debts. For one reason that it gives you gotta believe that you can get it done, right? You gotta experience some small wins in order to keep going. Like Reggie, you was asking me like what stopped me from quitting. It was like I was experiencing those wins. Like, okay, dang, this $2,000 credit card is gone now.
Right.
Maybe this 4,000 one is more, it's doable. So if I just put a big mountain in front of you and I tell you to knock it over, you're not going to even try, right? If I just put a little chair, I say kick the chair aside. You'll just go on to the next big object, right? And so I've seen the behavioral aspect of it more than just like the technical strategies of it. Some people like to order interest rates, and I'm like, the behavior is what got you into debt, right? It's like if you were so wise with this math you're trying to spit at me, you wouldn't be in debt in the first place, right? So let me switch your behavior, and I got really good at not just knowledge of how to maybe have better financial practices. I got really good at reading people's behavior and seeing what makes them tick. And so most people they respond to seeing a small win and get motivated. Any other strategy I possibly could give you. So I start with that. If that's not working, we pivot. But I've not seen it not work, honestly. Unless again, somebody just didn't want it, right? Maybe they didn't have a big enough why. Maybe they didn't have their wake up call. And again, that goes back to behavior.
That goes to also mindset, right?
For sure.
mindset has to equal your why to move that mountain little by little, like chisel away at that mountain. But so what would you say? Okay, you mentioned also something else about every dollar has to have something you said about every dollar has to have a purpose. What was that you were saying? Maybe you can elaborate a little more on
Yeah,
look at each dollar.
I didn't make this joke up, but I heard somebody else say it. I stole it. I'm gonna spit it back. It's like when you don't give a dollar a name, meaning an assignment, it'll give itself one called spent. So it's like just because you got, let's say, $2,500 sitting in your account, how have you decided what the priorities are, right? Yeah, I could go afford a new TV tomorrow with $2,500 in my account, but am I robbing myself or something else, right? Like, what was the better usage of the money? So when you can actually say, okay, I'm gonna give out $2,500 of these dollars in assignment, it's easier than tell yourself, no, I'm not gonna buy something, right? Because it doesn't feel like you're uh, robbing yourself of a desire. You just know my priorities are laid out. So this can wait. When you don't have it prioritized, everything takes a priority, right? And until you realize, like, you get to the end of every month, like, why don't where did my money go? Right? Like people get see their W-2 and made 50,000, 80,000, 100,000. Like, what did I do with all that money last year?
Where did it go? Yep.
Where did it go?
Wow.
So eventually I started to see a power in controlling my spending by knowing that I can't use this $10 on that because I've already given it an assignment, right?
I
You've
like that.
assigned it before you got a hold of it. So is that called a budget? We know I don't like that word budget.
She doesn't like budget. Yes. She runs from the word budget.
I run from the word. I won't do it. And so if you say, "Hey, you need a purpose spending plan or a you need something to tell your dollars where they're going to go before you even get them." So what's your way of making that happen?
I was gonna go there with the budget thing with you, right? Like nobody likes the word, so I kind of stopped using it too. I'll
Yeah.
say let's get a cash flow spending plan.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Spending
Yeah.
plan.
And, 'cause when you say the word budget, people think like, oh, that means I can't do anything.
Right.
No, you
True.
made the plan. You tell yourself what you are willing to do and not willing to do based on the constraints of the fact that there's no such thing as unlimited money. So you're gonna have to have some limitation. It doesn't matter if you make $10,000 a month. You what are you gonna do? You can't go do millionaire things, right? So you do 10,000 there things, right? But what are they gonna be though? So yeah, I call it a cash flow spending plan.
Yeah. I think, I'm sorry, Andrew, you about to say something?
Hey, Rich.
I think when to your point, when you mention budget to people, um, in their mind, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about earlier. Everything is mental.
Mhm.
So the moment you say budget, they think, okay, I can't do a daggone thing. And I think the point that you made is a good one, which is you control this. It's not the budget. You don't say budget control me. It's like I control the budget. And having to put things down on paper is tough. And then when you start seeing those numbers start staring at you, you're like, Jesus, how was I surviving? But you were. And so in that mindset, I always believe that if you can look at this and say, okay, I was surviving on this, then I can survive with something that I create, the cash flow spending or the purpose spending plan that Ant likes to call it. Whatever it is, there's got to be something to kind of guide you, in a way that makes you feel good about it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, and when I would get clients, most people have never worked with a financial advisor or a financial coach, right? And so the first thing they're like, "Oh, Steve's gonna tell me to shut my whole life down." I'm like, "I'm not gonna tell you to do anything. We're gonna lay out the wisest choices, and you're gonna choose to do them." So, yeah,
It's subjective, Steve. Why is it subjective?
very subjective, right? Very good one.
Oh my goodness. So if you were recommending uh, a person do one thing today to start getting their lives in order, what would you suggest?
I would say go back and look at the last 3 months of your spending, maybe up to six, and write all categories down. Write out eating out. Write out groceries, write out fun. Obviously, write your bills out too, but go and track and see how much are you spending on a monthly basis in each category, and then try to make a forward plan. Right, go back and track it first because you need to kind of get an idea what your lifestyle is actually costing you, and in that way you can see where am I actually ruining my finances. Right, if you are right, not saying everybody is, but you say okay, it's really like I think going to Zaxby's doesn't cost me much, but it's really costing me 500 a month. That's my car note, right? So just go and get an idea of that. Basically, take an inventory of where's the money going, where has it been going actually. Start there, and then say, okay, well, where can I, what kind of intentional numbers can I put to each of these categories going forward, and try it out for 30 days and see how it works. Track it. Doesn't work, try adjust it. By about like month 3, if you actually been intentional, you'll have gotten a rhythm of your cash flow spending. May not be like some budgeting master at that point, but you'll be light years better than the person that does nothing, right? Practically
So
speaking,
true.
right? I like to just keep it simple. I don't try to overwhelm anybody, right? You know, you can get very more complex with your financial planning, obviously. You know, you got to get to a point where then you actually need and has value for a financial advisor, right? Because it's hard to kind of build wealth when you're just going deeper in the hole in debt, right? Your dollars are going everywhere. Eventually, we got to get to a place where how can I actually build some wealth? So I would just say to anybody starting, because this is probably 70% of most people, all right? They don't really have a flow of organization. Like take an inventory of your last 3 months up to 6 months of spending, and then put the numbers to the category. And so now we can see what you're working with, and then try to put some forward numbers going beyond, and just try it. You know, every 2 weeks, see how it works out. Every 30 days, see how it works out. By 90 days, you'll be like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Promise you. Just try it.
I love
I
that.
like that. I like that.
Small wins. That's what we're going after.
Small
Oh,
right there. Right there. And I started with that piece of advice because it applies, it doesn't matter what tax bracket you're in. When you have a plan in place, you get the results of the plan. No plan in place, what kind of results are we trying to get? Who knows? It's just a wish at that point.
plan your work and work your plan. I say it all the time to my daughters.
But my dad said that to me.
Work and work your plan.
Age-old advice right there that'll never be disproved.
Agreed.
That's it.
Agreed.
You've encouraged me, and I hope our listeners too, who, regardless of how much they have in debt, tackle those debts little by little. And then on the other side of that is building our financial freedom. We thank you for all of your words of encouragement.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we didn't just leave with the financial advisor thing and got to this story. You said people your financial advisor, they think you just always had it figured out. No, I'm regular, just like you. I promise.
No, it's I mean, it's good for people to see I don't want to say another side, but all sides, you know, because if you don't get a full picture, then it's hard for you to kind of relate to the thing, I think. But that said, I know you're a financial advisor with Edward Jones, and you may not need any clients, but if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, you literally can just Google my name, right? Steve Shumpert, Edward Jones, and it'll a link will pop up, and it'll have my office number and everything like that on it.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's simple. That's the simplest thing we've heard.
I could spit out my phone number or email address, but just Google my name, Edward Jones, or my name, financial advisor, and it'll pop up right then and there.
Wow,
The one and only.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I love that.
Well, this brings us to the end of this episode. We appreciate you, Steve. Thank you for joining us today.
Indeed, we do. Indeed, we do. And tune in next week. I think we have something more specific, some more specific ways to increase our income. Is that right, Ange?
Yep.
Making money to pay down debt or increase our savings. I think we maybe need to call Steve back for that one, right? We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe to the Wise Retirement Podcast on your favorite podcast platforms and leave us a review. Be sure to follow us on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at The Wise Retirement. Steve, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your words today, brother.
So thanks for having me. Keep doing the good work over there.
I'm Angela Kay, reminding you that you're not alone on this journey. We're in this together. Until next time, take care, everybody.
I'm Reginald Thornton. Welcome to the ride.